The sky above New burned red. Commander Ho crouched behind a collapsed wall, watching the alien ships hover over his dying city. 3 days ago, this place had been home to 4 million people. Now, smoke rose from every direction, and the screams had finally stopped. He checked his rifle, 5 shots left, not that it mattered anymore. Ho, come look at this. The voice belonged to Jin, a doctor who had worked at the central hospital. She knelt beside a small radio, her fingers adjusting the broken dials. Her white coat was gray with dust and blood. Ho crawled over to her position. Around them, 15 other survivors huddled in the basement of what used to be a government building. They had been hiding here for 2 days, eating whatever they could find and drinking rainwater from the broken pipes. "What is it?" Ho asked. "They're broadcasting something," Jin said. "All channels, I think it's their commander." The radio crackled. Then a voice came through, speaking in perfect human language. It sounded wrong, too smooth, like a machine trying to sound alive. "People of Nu, this is High Marshal of the Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Your weapons are destroyed. Your ships are gone. Your military is dead." Ho felt his hands shake. He forced them to stop. "We know many of you are hiding," the voice continued. "Come out, surrender. Your Earth Federation has abandoned you. No help is coming. We have scanned the surrounding systems. No human ships are approaching. You are alone." Min, a former pilot who had lost his aircraft in the first attack, spat on the ground. "Bastards." The broadcast continued. "The Empire is generous to those who submit. Come out within 1 day and you will live as workers. Hide and you will be hunted. The choice is yours." The radio went silent. Nobody spoke. In the dim light of the basement, Ho could see the faces of his people. Some were crying. Others just stared at nothing. A child whimpered in her mother's arms. "He's right, isn't he?" someone said. "Nobody's coming." "Shut up," Min snapped. "Don't say that." "Why not? It's true. We sent the distress signal 3 weeks ago. Nothing, no response, no ships. Earth doesn't care about us." Ho stood up. His legs hurt, but he forced himself to stand tall. "Listen to me, all of you." They looked at him. He saw fear in their eyes, fear and hopelessness. 3 weeks ago, before they jammed our communications, we sent out a priority signal. We used everything, every bit of power we had left. The message was simple. Nu under attack. Request immediate assistance. "But nobody answered," someone said. "No," Ho agreed. "Nobody answered, but that doesn't mean nobody heard. Space is big, really big. Even at faster-than-light speeds, it takes time for ships to travel. The nearest Federation base is at least 2 weeks away." "So what do we do?" Jin asked. "Wait, hope." "Yes," Ho said simply. "We wait, we survive, and we hope." "That's not a plan," the pilot Min said, but his voice was softer now. "It's the only plan we have." Above them, they heard the sound of alien boots marching through the streets. They were patrolling, looking for survivors. Ho motioned for everyone to be quiet. They pressed themselves against the walls and held their breath. The footsteps came closer, then stopped right above them. Ho raised his rifle. 5 shots, he would make them count. The footsteps moved on. After a long minute, everyone breathed again. "They're going to find us eventually," Jin whispered. "This building won't hide us forever." "I know," Ho said, "but every day we survive is one more day for help to arrive." "If help is coming," someone muttered. That night, Ho took the first watch while the others tried to sleep. He sat by the small window, looking up at the sky. The ships hung there like dark stars. He counted them. 47 warships. The Empire had brought an entire fleet to crush one human colony. It had worked. Nu's defense force had fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 10-1. The battle had lasted less than 6 hours. After that came the hunting. They went through the cities, destroying everything, killing anyone who resisted. Ho remembered the last transmission from Admiral Park, commander of the Orbital Defense Station. "Tell Earth we fought. Tell them we didn't run. Then static. The station had exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the night sky. Jin came to sit beside him. She didn't say anything for a while. Then quietly she asked, "Do you really think someone heard our signal?" Ho looked at her. He thought about lying, but she deserved the truth. "I don't know," he said. "Maybe yes, maybe no. But I know the Federation doesn't abandon people. We're citizens. Earth swore to protect all human worlds." "Earth is far away," Jin said, "and we're just one colony, one small world on the edge of space. Maybe they decided we're not worth fighting for." "Then they're wrong," Ho said firmly. "Every human life is worth fighting for. Every world matters. That's what the Federation stands for." "You sound like a recruitment poster," she said, but she smiled a little. "My father helped found this colony," Ho said. "He came here 40 years ago with the first wave of settlers. This was wilderness then, nothing but rocks and ice. They built this world from nothing, built farms, built cities, built a home, and now these aliens come and think they can just take it." He gripped his rifle. "No, this is our world, and someone will come. I have to believe that." Jin nodded slowly. "Then I'll believe it too." Over the next week, they moved 3 times, always staying ahead of the patrols. The aliens were efficient hunters, but humans knew how to hide. They lived on scraps and rainwater. They treated injuries with whatever medical supplies Jin could find. They told stories to keep their spirits up. And they waited. On the 10th day after the conquest, Ho was checking the radio again. Most channels just played propaganda now, but he kept scanning, hopping for something, anything. Then he heard it, a sound that made his heart jump. It was faint, very faint but unmistakable, a ship engine powering up from cold space. The sound was different from the vessels, sharper, more powerful. "Did you hear that?" Min asked, rushing over. "Yes," Ho said. His hands were shaking again, but this time from excitement. Something just entered the system. They waited, listening. The radio suddenly exploded with military chatter, voices talking fast in their alien language. They sounded confused, alarmed. Then, cutting through all the noise, came a human voice, clear, strong, speaking in Korean. "This is Fleet Admiral Yang of the Human Federation Navy. Vessels, you are hereby ordered to withdraw from Nu immediately. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation. This is your only warning." The basement erupted. People were crying, hugging each other, laughing and sobbing at the same time. Someone had come. After 10 days of hiding and hopping, someone had actually come. But Ho's military training kept him focused. He listened to the channels. They were laughing, mocking. One ship, they were saying. One human ship against 47. This was suicide. Ho felt cold fear grip his heart. Yes, help had arrived, but would one ship be enough? He didn't know, but for the first time in 10 days he felt something he had almost forgotten: hope. High Marshal stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the sensor display. The human ship had appeared at the edge of the system 30 minutes ago. Just one ship, single vessel against his fleet of 47 warships. "Size?" he asked his sensor officer. "Massive, Marshal, bigger than our heavy dreadnoughts. The energy signature is unusual, very high output. Type: unknown class. The humans are broadcasting identification as HFNS, Retribution class." Felt his confidence waver slightly. That meant it carried fighters, possibly hundreds of them, but still one ship. Status of the vessel: it dropped out of faster-than-light travel and is now accelerating toward us. Current speed is increasing. No other ships detected in the system. Relaxed, one ship. The humans were desperate. This was probably all they could spare. A symbolic gesture, a foolish attempt to save face before accepting defeat. "Marshal, the human commander is hailing us." "Put it through." The voice that came over the speakers was calm and cold. "This is Fleet Admiral Yang of the Human Federation Navy. Vessels, You are hereby ordered to withdraw from Nu immediately. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation. This is your only warning." So officers looked at each other. Some made the equivalent of laughter. "One ship," said. "They send one ship and give us orders. The humans are either very brave or very stupid." He opened a channel. "Unknown human vessel, this is High Marshal. You are outnumbered 47-1. Power down your weapons and surrender immediately. I promise you will be treated according to military law." There was a pause. Then the human admiral spoke again. "Marshal, you attacked a civilian colony. You killed millions of unarmed people. You have no honor and deserve no mercy. I will ask one more time. Withdraw now." "Or what?" snapped. "Or we will remove you by force." Cut the channel. He turned to his tactical officer. "Send 15 ships to intercept and destroy that vessel. Show these humans what happens when they challenge the Empire." On the surface of Nu, Ho and the other survivors crowded around the radio, listening to every word. The military channels were broadcasting everything, confident in their victory. 15 ships, Min said. "They're sending 15 ships against one." "It's not enough," someone said. "One ship can't fight 15. They're going to die." "No," Ho said firmly. "Listen, that admiral wouldn't come here to die. He has a plan." "What plan could possibly work?" Jin asked. "I don't know, but we're about to find out." High above the planet, the continued its approach. Admiral Yang stood on his bridge, watching the 15 ships move to intercept. His crew worked at their stations, calm and professional. "Distance to enemy formation?" Yang asked. 200,000 kilometers and closing, Commander replied from the tactical station. "They're positioning for a standard encirclement." "Good, let them think we don't know what we're doing. Weapons status." "All systems charged and ready, Admiral," Dongwu reported from the weapons console. "Mass drivers are loaded. Fighter bays are prepared for launch." "Sir," said, 15 ships. Are you sure about this?" Yang looked at her. His face showed no emotion. "Commander, how long did it take us to get here?" 10 days at maximum burn, sir." "And how many crew members do we have aboard this ship?" 4,200. "Every single one of them volunteered for this mission," Yang said. "When I told them we were going alone, ahead of the fleet, to face an enemy fleet by ourselves, do you know what they said?" "Sir?" "They said let's go. Not one person refused, not one. Because down on that planet are 4 million humans who need our help. 4 million people who sent a distress signal and waited, hoping someone would hear. Someone did hear. We heard. And we came." He turned back to the display. "So yes, Commander, I'm sure. All ships, this is Admiral Yang. You know why we're here, you know what we have to do. They think we're weak. They think one ship means defeat. Let's teach them what one human ship can do. All stations, weapons free. Engage the enemy." The surged forward, accelerating at a rate that surprised the human ship was fast, very fast. "Fire mass drivers," Yang ordered. From the main cannons, projectiles launched. They were simple metal slugs, but they moved at a significant fraction of light speed. The kinetic energy was enormous. The first 3 cruisers never knew what hit them. The projectiles punched through their shields like they didn't exist, tore through the hulls, and exited the other side. The ships exploded, splitting apart in massive fireballs. 3 ships destroyed in the first 5 seconds. On's flagship alarm screamed. "Report," he shouted. 3 ships destroyed. The humans are using kinetic weapons. The velocities are incredible. All ships evasive maneuvers, return fire. But there was already moving, changing course with surprising agility for such a large vessel. Energy weapons flashed through space where the ship had been moments before. Then the launch bays opened. Fighter craft poured out like angry insects, hundreds of them, small, fast, deadly. Squadron leader Jin led her wing toward the nearest destroyer. Her targeting computer locked on. All wings, this is Jin. Weapons free. Show them what happens when you attack human worlds. Her fighters scattered, each taking a different approach vector. They tried to track them, but human pilots were good, really good. They had trained for this, dreamed of this. Revenge for new. Jin's missiles streaked toward the destroyer. The point defense systems tried to shoot them down, but the missiles were equipped with advanced AI. They jinked and weaved, avoiding the defensive fire. 8 missiles hit home. The destroyer's shields collapsed and its hull split open. Target destroyed, Jin reported, moving to next target. All around the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human fighters danced through space, too fast and too skilled for them to hit. More missiles found their targets. More ships exploded. Watched in growing horror as his formation fell apart. 7 ships destroyed now. No, 8, 9. The humans were cutting through his forces like a hot blade through ice. All ships concentrate fire on the main vessel. Ignore the fighters. Kill that carrier. The remaining ships turned their weapons on the energy beams and missiles converged on the human from all sides. The shields flared bright as they absorbed the hits. On the bridge, alarms sounded. Shields at 60%, reported. Multiple impacts on sections 4 through 7. Maintain course, Yang said calmly. Return fire with all weapons. The broadside cannons opened up. The ship carried more weapons than they had thought possible. Energy beams, missiles, more kinetic rounds. Everything fired at once. 2 more ships exploded. A third lost power and began drifting. Marshal, we've lost 12 ships, the tactical officer reported. The humans are destroying us. Impossible, shouted. We outnumber them. How are they doing this? But he knew the answer. The humans were better. Their technology was better. Their tactics were better. Their ships were built for war in a way vessels were not. The Empire had conquered dozens of species. All had fallen easily. They had grown arrogant. They had forgotten that some civilizations fight back, and humans fought harder than most. Sir, recommend we withdraw, his second officer said. We cannot win this engagement. No, slammed his appendage against the console. I will not retreat from one ship. All vessels press the attack. On the surface, Ho watched the sky light up with explosions. Each flash was another ship dying. The survivors cheered with every explosion. Jin was crying but smiling. Min just kept saying, I don't believe it, over and over. How are they doing this? Someone asked. How is one ship beating an entire fleet? Ho smiled. Because that's what humans do. We don't give up, we don't back down, and we never ever abandon our people. Above them the battle raged on, and they showed no signs of stopping. The battle had been going for 3 hours. They moved through space like a predator, surrounded by the wreckage of ships. Pieces of destroyed vessels drifted everywhere, glowing with fire and leaking atmosphere. Commander studied her tactical display. Admiral, we've destroyed 18 enemy ships. 7 more are heavily damaged and withdrawing. The remaining 22 are regrouping. Admiral Yang nodded. His face showed the strain of command, but his voice remained steady. Status of our fighter wings. We've lost 37 fighters. The rest are returning to rearm and refuel. Yang felt the weight of those losses. 37 fighters meant at least 37 dead pilots. Each one had volunteered for this mission knowing the risks. Each one had families somewhere. But there was no time for grief. Not yet. Tell Jin to land her people. Quick turnaround. I want them back in space in 15 minutes. Yes, sir. On the flight deck, Jin brought her fighter in hard. The landing gear screeched as she touched down. Around her, other pilots were doing the same. Ground crews swarmed over the fighters immediately, reloading missiles and refilling fuel tanks. Jin climbed out of her cockpit. Her flight suit was soaked with sweat. She had been flying for 3 hours straight, dodging enemy fire, making attack runs, watching friends die beside her. A crew chief ran up. "Commander Jin, your bird took some hits. Port engine is damaged. Can you fix it in 15 minutes?" "I can try." "Then try harder." She softened her tone. "Please, we need every fighter out there." The crew chief nodded and ran back to the fighter, shouting orders to his team. Jin walked to the ready room where other pilots were gathering. 37 empty chairs. 37 people who had launched with her but would never land again. "Listen up," she called out. "We're going back out there. They are regrouping for another attack. They're scared now, but scared enemies are dangerous. Stay sharp, watch each other's backs, and remember why we're here." "For new," someone shouted. "For new," everyone repeated. On the bridge, Dongwu reported from his weapons station. "Admiral, main cannons are at 70% capacity. We can maintain fire, but the barrels are heating up. If we push them too hard, we risk damage." "Noted," Yang said. "What about the pulse cannon?" "Charged and ready. But sir, if we use it, we'll drain most of our power reserves. We'll be vulnerable for at least 30 seconds while the reactor recovers." "I understand. Keep it ready. We may need it." High Marshal had moved his flag to a different ship after his flagship took too much damage. He stared at the tactical display, his confidence completely gone. 18 ships destroyed. 18. Against one human vessel. "Marshal," his tactical officer said quietly, "we should withdraw. We cannot win this fight." "If we withdraw, the Empire will see it as weakness," said. "Other species will think they can challenge us. No, we must destroy this ship no matter the cost." "But Marshal—" "No, we still have 22 ships. That human vessel has taken damage. I can see it. Their shields are weakening. We hit them hard enough, they will break. Order all ships to concentrate fire. Full assault. Everything we have." The officer hesitated, then obeyed. The fleet formed up, all 22 ships moving into an attack formation. They surrounded creating a sphere of ships. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. "They're coming," reported. "All remaining ships. They're going to hit us from every direction at once." Yang studied the display. This was bad, very bad. They could take a lot of punishment, but being hit from all sides simultaneously would overwhelm even their advanced shields. "Launch all fighters. Pull them back to defensive positions around the ship." Jin's squadron launched again, along with every other fighter that could fly. They formed a protective screen around ready to intercept missiles and provide covering fire. The attack began. Energy weapons from 22 ships fired at once. The space around the lit up like a star as hundreds of weapons hit the shields simultaneously. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered on the bridge. "Shields at 40%, shouted over the alarms. "Hull breaches on decks 9 through 12. Damage control teams responding." "Keep firing," Yang ordered. "All weapons target the closest ships." The fought back with everything it had. Its cannons never stopped firing. Missiles launched continuously. The human was built for this kind of punishment. Its armor was thick, its structure reinforced. But even the best ship has limits. "Shields at 20%. Reactor output dropping. We can't maintain this power level much longer." Another violent shake. Part of the ceiling collapsed, narrowly missing. She wiped blood from a cut on her forehead and kept working. Yang made his decision. Charge the pulse cannon. Every head on the bridge turned to look at him. "Sir," said carefully, "if we fire that weapon, we'll be defenseless for at least 30 seconds. In our current state, that could be suicide." "I know," Yang said, "but if we don't break their formation now, they'll wear us down anyway. At least this way we take some of them with us." "Dongwu, how long to charge?" 30 seconds, Admiral." "Do it." Deep in the ship's reactor core, massive amounts of power began redirecting to the pulse cannon. The weapon was experimental, designed to deliver a devastating burst of energy. But it required enormous power, draining the ship's reactors almost completely. Engineering officer Sangwoo watched his instruments with growing alarm. "This is insane," he muttered, but he did his job, routing power exactly as ordered. The temperature in the reactor room climbed. Warning lights turned red. "Come on, hold together, just a little longer." They saw the energy build up and realized something was happening. "What are they doing?" demanded. "Unknown, Marshal, but their power signature is spiking dramatically. It's concentrating in one location." "Target that location. All ships, fire everything at those coordinates." The fleet poured fire into the shields collapsed completely. Energy weapons began hitting the hull directly, burning through the armor. Explosions rocked the ship. Hull breaches opened on multiple decks. Crew members died at their stations. Shields down. Hull integrity at 60%. Multiple fires reported throughout the ship. "Pulse cannon charged," Dongwu shouted. "Fire," Yang ordered. This main weapon fired. A beam of pure energy, brighter than anything they had ever seen, shot across space. It struck new flagship dead center. The shields tried to absorb the energy. They failed instantly. The beam burned through the hull like it was paper. It cut through the ship from bow to stern, superheating metal, vaporizing everything it touched. The flagship broke in half. Both pieces tumbled through space, secondary explosions tearing them apart from the inside. High Marshal died instantly, never knowing what killed him. The pulse cannon continued firing, sweeping across the battlefield. It caught two more ships in its path. They exploded immediately, their reactors overloading. Then the beam shut off. The went dark. Power died across the entire ship. Emergency lights came on, casting everything in red shadows. "Reactor shut down," Sangwoo reported from engineering. "We're dead in space. 30 seconds minimum until we can restart." Those 30 seconds felt like an eternity. They drifted, powerless, defenseless. The remaining ships could destroy them easily now. But something had changed. The death of their commander, the destruction of 3 more ships in a single devastating attack, had broken the will to fight. The enemy ships stopped firing. For a long moment nothing happened. Then one by one they began withdrawing, turning away, running. The battle was over. "They're retreating," said in disbelief. "They're actually running away." Power came back online gradually. The ship's reactors restarted. The lights returned. Damage reports flooded in from every section. "Casualty report," Yang said quietly. Checked her console. Her voice shook slightly. 847 dead. Over 2,000 wounded. We have hull breaches on 20 decks. Multiple systems are offline, sir. The ship is barely functional. Yang closed his eyes briefly. 847. So many lives, but they had won. Against impossible odds they had won. "Send a message to all personnel. Well done. Tell damage control to focus on life support and medical. Everything else can wait." He looked at the planet below them. Somewhere down there, humans were still alive because of what they had done today. It was worth it. The survivors in the basement heard the change first. For hours, the sounds of battle had filled the sky, explosions, weapons fire, the roar of engines. Then, suddenly, silence. Ho carefully made his way to a broken window. He looked up at the night sky. The ships were moving away, heading toward the edge of the system. Their formation was broken, scattered. They were running. "They're retreating," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "They are retreating." The others rushed to see. People started crying, hugging each other, laughing through their tears. They had survived. They were free. But Min pointed to another part of the sky. "Look, the human ship." The hung in orbit, surrounded by debris. Even from the ground they could see the damage. Parts of the hull glowed red where fires still burned. Entire sections looked torn open. The ship had won, but barely. "Will it survive?" Jin asked. "I don't know," Ho said honestly, "but they saved us. Whatever happens to that ship, they saved us. Throughout the city, similar scenes played out. Humans emerged from hiding places, from tunnels and basements and ruins. They looked up at the sky and saw hope. The occupation was over. On the streets, soldiers were surrendering. Governor tried to escape on a small shuttle, but human survivors shot it down. The governor was captured, along with hundreds of other officers who had been running the occupation. Aboard the situation was desperate. Medical bays overflowed with wounded. Damage control teams worked around the clock to seal hull breaches and repair critical systems. Bodies of the dead were being collected and moved to the cargo bay. Admiral Yang walked through the corridors, seeing the destruction. Walls were scorched black. Entire rooms had been blown open to space. He passed medical, where doctors worked frantically to save lives. He stopped at one bed. A young pilot, maybe 20 years old, with burns covering half his body. The pilot's eyes opened. "Admiral," he whispered. "Rest, son," Yang said gently. Did we win?" "Yes, you won. The planet is free." The pilot smiled, then closed his eyes. A doctor came over and shook her head sadly. The pilot was gone. Yang continued his walk. Each deck showed more damage, more casualties. The price of victory was written in blood and fire across his ship. Commander found him on Deck 7, staring at a memorial wall where crew photos were displayed. Many of those photos now had black ribbons across them. "Sir, we've established contact with the surface. The survivors want to thank you personally." "They don't need to thank us," Yang said. "We were just doing our duty." "With respect, Admiral, I don't think they see it that way. We came alone against impossible odds and we saved them. That's not just duty, that's something more." Yang looked at her. "We lost 847 people, 847. They had families, friends, dreams, they're all gone. What kind of victory is that?" "The kind where millions of others get to live," said quietly. "The kind where we show the galaxy that humanity doesn't abandon its people. Sir, those crew members knew the risks. Every single one volunteered. They wanted to be here." Down on Nu, Ho organized the survivors. There were wounded who needed medical help. The city had no power, no water, no food supplies. Everything had been destroyed. "We need to contact that ship," Ho said. "They'll have supplies, medicine, everything we need." But first, he wanted to do something else. He found a working radio transmitter in the ruins of a communications building. It took an hour to get it working. When he finally established contact with his hands were shaking. "This is Commander Ho of New Colonial Defense. We want to thank you. You saved us, all of us." The voice that came back was tired but warm. "This is Admiral Yang. Commander, it's good to hear from you. How many survivors do you have?" "We're still counting, but at least 300,000 in the capital city. Maybe more in other cities. Sir, we need help. Medical supplies, food, water. Our infrastructure is destroyed." "We'll send down supply shuttles immediately." "Commander, I'm also authorizing emergency landing for our medical teams. We have field hospitals that can be set up within hours." "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." There was a pause. Then Yang spoke again, his voice softer. "Commander, you held out for 10 days. Against an occupation force with no support, you survived. That took courage. Your people should be proud." Ho felt tears on his face. "We were just waiting, sir, hoping someone would come." "Someone did," Yang said. "And we always will. That's the promise of the Federation. No matter how far away, no matter how dangerous, we will come for our people." Over the next hours, shuttles descended from They brought medical teams, supplies, and engineers to help restore basic services. Dr. Jin worked alongside Federation medical personnel, treating the wounded and sick. Jin landed her fighter near the city center and stepped out. Survivors surrounded her, thanking her, trying to touch her flight suit like it was something holy. She felt overwhelmed. I just did my job, she told them. An old woman grabbed her hand. You came when no one else would. You fought when it seemed hopeless. Young lady, you're a hero. Jin thought about the 37 pilots who hadn't made it back. The real heroes didn't come home, she said quietly. 3 days after the battle, the still hung in orbit, damaged but stable. Repairs continued slowly. The ship would need months of work at a proper shipyard, but it was enough to survive. Admiral Yang finally went down to the surface. He insisted on walking through the city, seeing the destruction with his own eyes. Ho accompanied him. 4 million people lived here, Ho said as they walked through the ruins. Now maybe 1 million survived. The others, they're buried under this rubble, or they were killed in the initial attack, or executed during the occupation. Yang stopped walking. He looked at the destroyed buildings, the burned homes, the makeshift graves. I'm sorry we didn't get here sooner. Sir, you came as fast as you could. If you had been any slower, Ho couldn't finish the sentence. They walked to a large open area where survivors had gathered. Thousands of people. When they saw the admiral, they started clapping, then cheering. The sound grew and grew until it was deafening. Yang raised his hand for silence. Gradually, the crowd quieted. People of Nu, he began. I wish I could tell you this was easy. I wish I could say we won without cost. But the truth is, 847 of my crew died to free your world. Thousands more were wounded. Our ship is barely functional. He paused, looking at their faces. But we would do it again. Every single one of us would make the same choice. Because you're human, you're Federation citizens, and the Federation never abandons its people. The crowd erupted in cheers again. That night Ho sat with Jin and Min, watching the stars. There was visible as a dark shape against the sky, lights twinkling where repair crews worked. Do you think they will come back? Jin asked. No, Ho said. They learned their lesson. They learned what happens when you attack human worlds. One ship changed everything, Min said wonderingly. One ship against their entire fleet. How do you think other aliens will react when they hear about this? Ho smiled. I think they'll be more careful about who they pick fights with. Above them, they began moving slowly toward a higher orbit. More Federation ships were on their way. In 6 days, the Third Fleet would arrive, 38 warships coming to secure the system and begin reconstruction. But that one ship had been enough to win the battle, enough to save millions, enough to send a message across the galaxy. Humanity fights for its own. 6 days after the battle, the Third Fleet arrived at Nu. 38 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They were powerful, modern vessels, each one a match for multiple ships. But the battle was already over. Commander stood on the bridge as the fleet approached. She felt both relief and something like disappointment. Relief that reinforcements had arrived. Disappointment because part of her had wanted to face the entire fight alone, to prove what one human ship could do. Admiral Yang contacted Fleet Admiral Park, commander of the Third Fleet. Admiral Yang, good to see your ship is still flying, Park said. His face showed relief. We pushed our engines to maximum to get here as fast as possible. What's the situation? The fleet has withdrawn from the system. Nu is secure. We have approximately 1 million survivors on the planet's surface. Medical and reconstruction efforts are. Your ship's status? Yang hesitated. We're damaged, badly. 847 dead, 2,000 wounded. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Will need extensive repairs. How many enemy ships did you engage? 47 initially. We destroyed 21 and damaged most of the others. The remainder fled after their commander was killed. There was silence on the other end. Then Park spoke, his voice filled with respect. You engaged 47 enemy vessels alone and won. Admiral, that's remarkable. It was necessary, Yang said simply. On the surface, The arrival of the Third Fleet was celebrated by the survivors. More supplies came down, more medical teams, more engineers. The reconstruction of New began in earnest. But the real impact of the battle was felt far beyond this one planet. Across space, emergency councils met. The recording of the battle had been transmitted automatically by the surviving ships. Military analysts watched it over and over, trying to understand what had happened. One human ship had destroyed more than half their fleet. The tactics were aggressive, the weapons powerful, the crew skilled beyond anything they had expected. In the capital, the High Council convened. The Supreme Leader addressed the assembly. Our forces attacked a human colony world. We believed humans were weak, scattered, easy to conquer. We were wrong, dramatically wrong. The recording played on the large screens. Council members watched the tear through their fleet. They watched their ships explode. They watched their confidence turn to ash. The humans sent one ship, the Supreme Leader continued. Just one, and it defeated our entire occupation force. Intelligence reports indicate this ship was not even their most powerful vessel. It was simply the closest one that could respond. What does this mean for our expansion plans? A council member asked. It means we made a terrible mistake. We assumed humanity was like other species we have conquered. They are not. They are more advanced than we thought, more determined, more willing to fight. Should we prepare for retaliation? The Supreme Leader considered this. No, I believe the humans made their point. They did not pursue our fleeing ships. They did not attack our territory. They simply defended their own. If we leave them alone, they will likely leave us alone. And if they don't? Everyone in the chamber knew the answer to that question. If humanity decided to retaliate, if they brought their full fleet to bear against space, the Empire would not survive. Open diplomatic channels, the Supreme Leader ordered. Immediately, we will apologize for the attack on New. We will offer reparations. We will establish a non-aggression treaty, and we will never ever attack human space again. The message went out across the galaxy. Other species, other empires, all received the same information. The Empire, one of the most powerful military forces in the region, had attacked a human colony and been defeated by a single human ship. The reaction was mixed. Some species felt satisfaction, they had been arrogant for too long. Others felt fear. If humans could do this with one ship, what could they do with 100? Trade routes shifted. Diplomatic relationships changed. Every alien government suddenly wanted to know more about humanity. Who were these people? What else were they capable of? In the Galactic Council chambers, representatives debated the implications. The human ambassador, a woman named Ambassador, fielded questions for hours. Is it true that one of your ships defeated an entire fleet? A representative from the Confederation asked. Yes, Ambassador replied calmly. Was this your most advanced warship? No, the is a standard retribution class. We have several dozen ships of this class. The chamber went silent, several dozen. The implication was clear. Ambassador, another representative said, does humanity intend to use this military advantage aggressively? Should we expect expansion into other territories? Looked around the chamber. The Human Federation has always believed in peaceful coexistence. We do not seek conflict. We do not desire conquest, but we will defend our people, always, against any threat, no matter the cost. She paused, letting that sink in. New sent a distress signal. We answered. That is what we do. That is what we will always do. Any species that respects this principle will find humanity to be a valuable ally. Any species that attacks our worlds will learn what they learned. The message was received loud and clear across the galaxy. Don't touch human worlds. Back on New, life slowly returned to normal. Reconstruction continued. The dead were honored with monuments. The survivors rebuilt their homes and their lives. Admiral Yang stood in a newly constructed memorial park. 847 names were carved into black stone, every crew member who had died in the battle. Ho stood beside him. "They'll be remembered," Ho said. "Forever, this planet owes them everything." "They were just doing their duty," Yang said. "No, sir, they were being heroes. There's a difference." Yang thought about that. Maybe Ho was right. Duty was following orders. What his crew had done, volunteering for a suicide mission, fighting against impossible odds, sacrificing themselves for strangers, that was something more. Admiral Ho said, "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "When you jumped into this system and saw 47 enemy ships, were you scared?" Yang was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled slightly. "Terrified, absolutely terrified, but fear is just information. It tells you the situation is dangerous. It doesn't tell you what to do. That's where courage comes in." "And what is courage?" "Courage is doing what's right even when you're afraid. Courage is looking at impossible odds and saying, 'I'll try anyway.' Courage is believing that some things are worth fighting for, even if you might lose." Ho nodded slowly. "They didn't have that." "No, they had arrogance. Arrogance is thinking you can't lose. Courage is knowing you might lose and fighting anyway. That's the difference between us and them." The left orbit 3 weeks after the battle, heading to a Federation shipyard for repairs. As the damage moved away from the planet, every human on the surface stopped what they were doing and looked up. Some saluted. Some waved. Some just watched in silence as their saviors departed. On the bridge, reported that all systems were stable for the journey. Sangwoo confirmed the reactors were running normally. Dongwoo noted that even damaged, they had enough weapons to fight if needed. Yang looked at his crew. They were tired, wounded, grieving, but they stood at their stations with pride. "Take us home," he said quietly. As the jump to faster-than-light speed, leaving Nu behind, a message was already spreading across the galaxy. A simple truth that would change everything. When humans receive a distress call, they answer. When their worlds are threatened, they fight. And when they fight, they win. The Empire learned this lesson at terrible cost. Other species took note. Alliances shifted. Trade agreements were signed. Non-aggression pacts were established. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity. Not because humans wanted to conquer, not because they sought dominance, but because they had proven something fundamental about their nature. They would cross the void for their people. They would face impossible odds. They would sacrifice everything for those who needed help. That made them different. That made them dangerous. That made them a force that no empire, no matter how powerful, wanted to face. And in the cold mathematics of galactic politics, respect born from fear is still respect. The continued its journey home, leaving behind a freed world and a changed galaxy. One ship had made the difference. One crew had saved millions. One battle had sent a message that echoed across the stars. Humanity was here. Humanity was strong, and humanity would never abandon its own. That was the truth the Empire learned when they attacked Nu. That was the truth the galaxy would never forget.